Well, hello, and welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I'll be your host for this evening, and my name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about competition is a sin, and how the ruling 13 families of the Western world, who own the top 1,000 international corporations, who are the international bankers, and who are also the Federal Reserve Bank and also the Internal Revenue Service, all, of course, offshore, privately owned corporations. They're all the same people. And how they have this plan, and unfortunately it's not really a long-term plan, they're already in the midst of staging the event, so to speak, how their plan, their religious war against the entire universe is already here, and how our world, our Earth, our home, supposedly the home of the entire human race, no matter where you happen to live in the universe, the Earth has been our home for 2.5 billion years. Excuse me. And apparently our home, our Earth, is the birthplace of the human race in the galaxy. And how every 32,000 years a bunch of people, not too many, obviously, get together and say, this isn't really a good neighborhood, we should probably leave. And since they've acquired the knowledge, the technology to leave this world, they leave. And all you have to do is go to anyone who's actually a college professor, anyone on this planet who's actually made it to the level of professor. That's the first time in their lives they actually experience the truth, because when you reach the level of professor in the Western world, you're then exposed to the real truth of our reality. And I worked at NASA for 5 years. I wasn't a scientist or anything. I was just the PR guy and the IT guy and, trade show guy and all those other things. But I noticed that all the people who were professors at Caltech were very, very angry people. Very, very angry people. And I wondered about that, and of course eventually I found the answer. They had, for the first time in their careers, been exposed to the truth when they made professor. And discovering that everything you've known for your whole life is nothing but lies, and being shown bits of the real truth, makes a lot of people very angry and bitter and hostile and raging. And I saw a lot of that at Caltech, where I was working, Caltech and JPL, where I was working for NASA. So the truth can unbend people. Certainly teachers who become professors who finally discover that everything they've ever taught in their whole lives has been lies. So our masters have this plan, this religious belief, this war that they are going to conduct against God in the name of their god, Satan. Doesn't matter if you believe in God. Doesn't matter if you believe in Satan. Doesn't matter if you believe that space travel is possible. It doesn't matter. Our masters believe it. And since they have all the money and they have all the power, and they have the HARP system, which they're going to use to burn you and I to a cinder, the same weapon they used against the Japanese twice to destroy that country, it doesn't matter what you and I think in the end. Because you and I cannot, for some reason, stand together and take our world back. We just can't seem to do it. So the masters are going to win. And after 40 years, I can't see you and I standing together very simply and saying no. I can't see you and I standing together, each of us, gun in hand, going to Washington, D.C., you and me and a few million of our friends, all with guns, all being shown out, so you can't be accused of being a terrorist. Of course, jaywalking in the United States makes you a terrorist now. I can't see you and I and a few million of our close personal friends all armed, all with our guns in plain view, going to Washington, D.C. and arresting Barack Obama. Or going to Wall Street with a few million of our closest friends and arresting Ben Bernanke. I can't see a few 100,000 of us, all with guns, going to the state capitals and arresting the governor and the state senates, and putting them all in prison. and then putting them all on trial. Don't forget the Justice Department. Don't forget the IRS. Don't forget the Federal Reserve. All privately owned corporations pretending to be government agencies. Don't forget the judicial system. The judges have been appointed for the last 20 years. We have to put everybody on trial. We simply have to arrest them. And then we have to go into their bank accounts and take back the money they stole from us. And then we have to get experts in the field, our experts, a gentleman by the name of Walter Burien. Never met the man. Read his work on the Cumulative Annual Financial Reports, CAFRs. Look up Walter Burien. Cumulative Annual Financial Reports on the web. Go to his website, and you'll discover that trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in cash is sitting in the pockets of our masters, their servants, the mandarins, and those who serve the mandarins. All of it's our money. But you and I are homeless, jobless, and if you're lucky, you have a car to live in. If you're not so lucky, you live in a tent city. If you're not that lucky, well, you may not live. But that just delights our masters, the people who own us, endlessly. So, our masters have this plan of waging war against the universe, against the other human races in the universe, in the name of their god, Satan. Again, doesn't matter if you believe it's possible. It doesn't matter what you and I think. It doesn't. Because the people with the money, the people with the power, do believe it. It's their religion. You ever tried to argue with someone about their religion? But you and I, for some reason, cannot stand together and simply say no. And I can't figure it out. There's got to be something about us, you and me, the cattle. You and me, the 2% that aren't cattle, supposedly. Why we can't stand up to our masters and say no. Why can't we do that? I don't understand. I mean, of the tens of thousands of people who listen to my show every day, only one person stood forward and sent me a couple of dollars just so I'd have food to eat, just so I'd have a place to live for another week. Beautiful, kind lady, my color of my beautiful guardian angel in Wisconsin. Only one person stood forward and said, Charlie, I'll help you. I guess that's the answer to my question. So, unless we rise up and tell the masters no, unless we lock them up, put them in prison, put them on trial, get our money back from them, and to restore the republic that was the United States, which is now a privately owned offshore corporation. Unless we put our masters in jail, all of them, just let them die of old age. Don't hurt them. Don't do anything to them. Just put them in prison. Leave them there. And then let their master, their god, Satan, whether she exists or not, let her go someplace else in the universe. Let her go someplace else in our galaxy to raise up troops in her war against God. I hate it when couples fight. It's like Satan and God are lovers and they're having a tiff, and you and I are the children caught in between. Anyway, following that theme, I thought, what the heck, tonight we would chat about closing the U.S. borders. And how, as I've been talking about, and many, many other people have been talking about, the time has come when the U.S. government, which is, again, the United States of America, is now a privately owned offshore corporation. It's no longer a republic. It is now a privately owned offshore corporation. And you can look this up. Go to Dun & Bradstreet. Look up United States of America. Look up Washington, D.C. Look up your local courthouse. Look up your local police department. You'll discover that they're all privately owned offshore corporations. Look up the Justice Department. Look up the IRS. Look up the Federal Reserve. Look them up on Dun & Bradstreet, which, by the way, Dun & Bradstreet actually owns banks overseas, which is kind of hysterical. Look that up, and then, just for the fun of it, get a copy of your birth certificate. Get a new copy. Cost you maybe $15. Go online. Lots of companies will do it for you. Maybe $15. And you'll find a number on that brand new issue of your birth certificate, ask Dun & Bradstreet to run that number in their records. You'll find that you yourself are a publicly traded asset based on the number on your birth certificate. You are an asset of a privately owned corporation called the United States of America. And now that that corporation has been run into the ground and all that money has been stolen, now it's time for that privately owned corporation called the United States of America to start protecting its assets. You are that asset. Try to leave the country now as a U.S. citizen. Just try. The U.S. border is transparent if you're a foreigner coming in, whether legally or illegally, because we frankly need foreigners to keep the country going. Try being a U.S. citizen and try to get out. Just try. TSA, that organization of psychopaths and losers and gibbering idiots with clown uniforms and guns, well, they're going to count every dollar bill you have on you. They're going to open your wallet. They're going to stop you repeatedly as you enter the airport, as you go through the airport, as you're getting on the plane. They will stop you. And as U.S. government contractors, they're acting as government officials. They have the power, our rapist friends at the TSA, the low-level morons, the, how can I say this, low-intelligent idiots who could not hold down a job at McDonald's, and so now they have another clown uniform, but this time they also got a gun. And as you're trying to get on a plane, going anywhere, they're actually sexually molesting you. They're feeling you up. They're sexually molesting your wife. They're fondling her breasts. They're grabbing your husband's genitalia and fondling it. Your husband, your wife, your mother, your infant children. And as they do this work, they're giggling because to them, it's a power trip as they go through your wallet to count how much cash you have as you're taking it out of the country. They'll even make you sign a form that you consented to this of your own free will and that they didn't steal any money from you at the same time. How is it possible that what was the greatest nation on the world, in the world, on the earth, the greatest nation, is now a clown factory where you will be sexually molested, your children will be sexually fondled by gibbering idiots just because they were on a plane. Where you as a U.S. citizen trying to leave the country, you suddenly discover that you are not a U.S. citizen. You are an asset of a privately owned offshore corporation calling itself the United States of America. About 100 years ago, I guess it was, Theodore Roosevelt passed an executive order pledging that every man, woman, and child in the United States was an asset, was a collateral, piece of collateral for the debts of the nation. This is based on an older law after the Civil War. The black slaves were not freed. Get over that right now. Lincoln didn't free the black people. Lincoln transferred ownership of the black slaves from the white plantation owners to the federal government. By the way, slavery was introduced in the colonies by British banks. It was British banks who came up with the idea of sending ships to Africa, making deals with certain black tribes to capture other black tribes and to sell them to the white slave traders and then ship them to the States. This was a British banker idea. Well, Lincoln did not free the slaves. Lincoln changed the ownership from individual plantation owners to the federal government and went a step further. Anyone born in the United States becomes the property of the United States federal government. You ever wonder why, if you want to get married, you have to go get a marriage license, you have to get approval, you have to get blood tests? That's because the owners are controlling the breeding of their stock, their cattle, you and me. When you sign a marriage license in any Western country, particularly we're now talking about the United States, you are pledging that any children you have from that marriage also become the property of your master, the U.S. federal government. Do a little research, look it up. It's not hard. Again, go to your best friend in the world, the librarian, the reference desk. Go there. Say, hi, heard this crazy guy talking about marriage certificates and marriage licenses. Wanted to look that up. Can you help me? And if they don't help you, find another reference desk at a different library. University libraries are great. They're bored because nobody ever goes in there. Make their day. Go into a university library, go to the reference desk and say, hi, I want to check this out. You won't, of course, because you're cattle, but it's, I feel obliged to at least say it to you. So for fun, try leaving the country. Try getting on a plane. For even more entertainment value, take $10,001 with you. And tell the TSA rapist who's molesting you and your children, your wife, your husband, your mother. Say, hi, I'm leaving the country. I have $10,001 on me. If you're lucky, you won't lose an eye as they pistol whip you to the ground and have you arrested. Why? You're cattle. Cattle don't have rights. And you have no rights because you've been giving your rights away for at least the last 50 years, at least the last 40 that I've been watching you do it. And even as a small child, I'd say, why are you doing that? And I would be told how stupid I was, that I don't know anything, and to shut up. Okay. But I do know the difference between cattle and a free man and a free woman. I just wish you knew it. For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day and reminding you to keep at least one good thought. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel fighting his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.